Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today our lecture will be about the Pakistan Environmental Protection Act 1997. We will see what was its background, what initially we had as our environmental law, and how it initiated. Finally, we will be also going through the detail of this law, and we will this act, and then we will also find out what kind of uh, different sections this act includes, what it is going to focus, and how it is going to be implemented. So for today we will be only having some background, and then we will have some initial points about this act. As we already know that in 1973 Constitution of Pakistan, the subject of environmental pollution and ecology was included in the concurrent legislative list. In our last lectures, we talked about what is concurrent legislative list. So this is the list. If any object or any topic is or subject is included in this list, only in that case the regulatory and legislative authorities are capable of enactment. They can make some legislation related to that subject. But if it is not included in that list, then it is out of the scope of that legislative body to make any kind of law. So this was something about the concurrent legislative list. So please try to learn about it, because it is important what kind of how the enactment initiates. So firstly, it is important to be included in that list, and then the bodies or regulatory bodies and legislative bodies can make the laws, the legislations. And in the next point is again the same thing. The parliament and province governments were empowered to formulate necessary laws under Article 142. And after this inclusion in the concurrent legislative list, uh, there was an ordinance uh, issued by the federal government, that was about the Pakistan Environmental Protection Ordinance 1983. And the main focus of this ordinance was to include all the important topics and bring them under discussion and implement those topics, those issues on initial basis. For example, issues like implementation of EIA, environmental impact assessment, for the construction projects. It was declared mandatory for any kind of project to get their EIA confirmation, and after that confirmation, these projects could be initiated. So, and followed by that ordinance, the major achievements were the development of the national conservation strategy, and secondly the environmental quality standards. So national environmental quality standards were started in view of the ordinance, but these were approved and implemented in the 1997 act. So is it clear? um, like this, we talked about it. Pakistan National Conservation Strategy in 1992 was again in the view of the ordinance, and then 1997 Act was covering most of the things which were not covered, because ordinance was merely a initiating document and for the legislation, but it was not covering all the aspects like especially the biodiversity and the standards of Pakistan, national quality standards. So such things were later on included in the form of 1997 Act. So this is another very important and interesting topic, which is the sector-wise legislation. So it will be covering all the laws available to Pakistan, and but again, I'm sorry, it is not up to date. You will further add up in these sections uh, using the data from the website which earlier I mentioned. So I am simply collecting this data from the internet and from different such sources. So it still lacks the update information about the legislation. So some of the acts will be missing, so please, for those acts, go through the website which I earlier recommended. And we can have a look on different sectors, and these sectors include land use, water quality and resources, air quality, noise, toxic and hazardous substance, solid waste and effluent, forest conservation, parks and wildlife conservation protection. These are the major sectors under the heading of which we are having different laws. So these are the laws. We have gone through them a number of times. You can again check them. And well, in 1997 Act, again these points were focused, but then these were further improved. So not only in the form of legislation, but also developing some authorities which were to regulate the laws. So it almost all these topics were again covered in 1997 Act. So here you can see a very brief focus what 1997 Act was including. It was including the framework for implementation of NCS, which was approved in which year? 1992. So but that was a strategy. We need two different things to implement that strategy. And what are those? We earlier talked about that. Firstly, we need to have some laws and its implementation, and secondly, some policies. So policies are going to help in the uh, uh, implementation of the strategy. So laws are to control them. So, for example, to shift from fossil fuels to renewable resources is one of the strategies. For example, shifting from the plastic bags to uh, other other resources, other applications is one of the strategies. So how we can use it, how can we can implement it? We need some policies. So policies are mostly related to the business sector, to the commercial sectors, because those are our tools through which we are dealing with the most of the environmental issues. And we can control the environmental issues if we are controlling our industrial sector, if we are controlling our commercial sectors. So this is something about the implementation. So firstly we have NCS strategy, then we have policy to get the goals of that strategy, and then further backup is the implementation of environmental laws through by enforcement. So please differentiate all these things, because Strategies are important. We need to make the strategy. We first of all we need to highlight some issue, environmental issue, and then in the light of that environmental issue we need to have some strategy, and that strategy is definitely in the form of some policy, and that policy is again related to our different stakeholders. So sometimes we need to make some policy about the farmers and agriculture as well. And what it could help in reducing the use of toxic chemicals, toxic fertilizers which are being used in agriculture. So we need some policy how we can achieve this goal of reducing the use of the fertilizer, toxic fertilizers. So in that case again the policy should be to uh, to emphasize on the uh, um, biomanures and such chemicals which are non-toxic. So things like that are under the heading of the policy. And then if this policy is not being implemented, we need some law to enforce, to penalty, to implement some penalty. So this is how the things work for this environmental laws and its policies and their implementations. So some of the important sections are here. You can see section 11. So before that, let's have a look on the major features. Like NCS is the focus, its implementation. Then we need some funds, development funds for provincial sustainable development, and then protection and conservation of species, conservation of renewable resources, establishment of environmental tribunals by appointment of magistrates, and IEE and EIA. So these are the major targets. And then we have some sections. Section 11 related to the discharge of the pollutants and their emissions from industrial sources and all other sources. Section 13 about import of hazardous materials. So see again we are dealing with the industrial sector, we are dealing with the commercial sector, we are dealing with the trade sector. And then we have regulations of motor vehicles. So motor vehicle implementation is not only up to the road but also to the fuel strategy, what kind of fuel we are going to import. So again it links with the trade. So then we have environmental protection order. It is mostly about the non-compliances of the hazardous materials. You can go through them, we will go in detail. And then again this is, I think we know it already. So this is the actual act of 1997. So an act to provide for the protection, conservation, rehabilitation and improvement of the environment, for the prevention and control of pollution and promotion of sustainable development. So what it includes? It includes different sections. What are the sections? These are the sections. So section 1 is short title, extent and commencement. These are, I have written them as it is without any modification so that you may know what actually this law is all about. So this is the act, and this is the section 1, and these are the subsections. So again these are the then section 2 is about the definition. So unless we define something properly, we cannot impose anything, we cannot encompass anything within the limit which have been defined. So we need to get the definitions approved through legislation. And these are the subtitles, sorry, subsections, and then further we have subclauses. We have clauses and then subclauses in some cases. So these are the different definitions. I think there is no need to get them thoroughly, because you can go through. So please go through these definitions. These are not difficult, but these are actually for the legislation purpose. So um, but the origin is technical. So the technical origin is linked with the legislation. So you will find all these things as you have already studied in your relevant courses, and then you can implement it. So this is all about the definitions. So we have 55 definitions. So please go through these definitions. And then this is section 3, establishment of Pakistan Environmental Protection Council. So what this council do? This council has again, first of all, its formation. So this is section 1, and it is here subsection. So the federal government shall, by notification in the official gazette, establish a council to be known as the Pakistan Environmental Protection Council, consisting of the following members. So who are the members? Chairperson will be the Prime Minister, and the vice chairperson will be the minister in charge of the ministry or division dealing with the subject of environment. And in this case, which ministry will be dealing? Ministry of Climate Change. Then we have chief ministers of the provinces. Those are the members to represent their own provinces. As you know, the provinces are free to decide their own, are free to legislate their own environmental laws, because the laws are not cannot be common, because it varies from place to place. So every province has the right to do it on their own. So minister in charge of the subject of environment, the province are also the members. And then we have some other persons not exceeding such other persons not exceeding 35, as federal government may appoint, and of which at least 20 shall be non-official, including 5 representatives of chamber of commerce and industry and industrial associations, and one or more representatives of the member chamber of agriculture, medical and legal professions, trade unions, non-governmental organizations, um, which are dealing with environment and the development, and all these are the members. And then we have in the end secretary of to the government of Pakistan, in charge of ministry of division dealing with the subject of the uh, environment. So this is uh, this is something about the formation of the PEPC council, in Pakistan Environmental Protection Council. So this is similarly we will further go through the detail, what are its rules and what are its controls, what are its powers, how it's funded, and what kind of legislation it is going to do, what's its role. So all these are in the section number 3. So we will continue this topic further. So please go through on your own, and I think it's not difficult at all. If you go through this, maybe you can understand them on by yourself. For today we will be closing this. Thank you so much.